The spring market here in the Bay Area is finally upon us, but things aren't as everyone expected them to be. Why is this the case, and what can buyers and sellers expect heading into this 2025 spring market? Coming up on this Silicon Valley Snapshot. The data for March of 2025 is finally here, which means we now have a very clear picture of what to expect heading into the rest of 2025's spring market. But the numbers aren't exactly what I would have expected them to be, and I think a lot of the experts here in Silicon Valley and the greater Bay Area would have expected them to be. And we're going to dig into those numbers and what they mean for you as a buyer and a seller. But before we do that, if you're a home buyer in today's marketplace and you're trying to figure out how to make the best offer possible, trust me, now more than ever, having good data to assist your decision making is imperative, because every single market, every little single city, sub-market is completely different. The story is different in Dublin versus Fremont, and it's different in Fremont versus San Jose, and San Jose versus Cupertino, and even all the different little areas and neighborhoods in San Jose are different. So if you're a buyer in today's marketplace and you're trying to get a comprehensive data set to assist you in your decision making, you can text the word data plus the neighborhood or the zip code or the area that you're looking in, and we will get that information sent straight to your inbox. And if you're a home seller in today's marketplace and you're trying to understand how to price your property, pricing strategy matters now more than ever. You can text the word data plus your property address to the number down below. Now, towards the end of last year, it started to become very apparent that rates were going to be very volatile in 2025 and probably not come down significantly anytime soon. And if you would have asked anybody at the end of 2025, what do you think is going to happen? They may have said something along the lines of, well, rates might continue to impact demand, but the data shows that that is simply not the case. Demand is very strong right now, and in fact, stronger in most areas than it was at the same time last year. But that's not the real story. The story is the inventory levels, and we're going to dive into that data right now. Starting off with Santa Clara County. In Santa Clara County, we had 1,100 homes active on the market in February of 2025 and 892 homes pending. Now, looking back at January, we see that we had basically the same percentage absorption rate, right? When we're talking pendings to active inventory, 590 to 784, 892 to 1,100, very similar rates of absorption there in those 2 months. So we're seeing fairly similar market conditions from January to February. But what I really want us to pay attention to are the inventory levels. So let's look at the inventory levels in February of this year versus February of last year. We have almost 40% more homes active on the market right now in February, or we did have 40% more homes in February than we did at that same time last year. It's also worth noting that pending activity went up by over 10% in February of 2025 versus February of 2024. But when inventory levels increased by 40%, pending activity increasing by only 10%, it stands to reason that pending activity is going to increase in a healthy market. But Santa Clara County isn't the only area that's experiencing this. Let's head on up to San Mateo County, where we had 477 homes active on the market and 288 homes pending. Let's compare that to this same time last year. We had 391 homes active on the market and 307 homes pending. So we actually had a double whammy, so to speak, right? We had increase in inventory levels and decrease in pending activity. Now, not nearly as dramatic an increase in inventory levels as we saw in Santa Clara County. Saw roughly about a 20%, maybe 25%, 20 to 25% increase in inventory levels, and just a very slight dip, 5% dip or so in pending activity year over year. Now, let's head on over to the East Bay, starting in Contra Costa County, where we had 1,184 homes active on the market and 726 homes pending. Compare that to the same time last year, 733 homes active on the market and 586 homes pending. So very similar situation to Santa Clara County, where we see this massive increase, 40% increase or so in inventory levels, and a slightly, like a 10%, a 10-50, actually more like a 20% increase in pending activity year over year in Contra Costa County. And then in Alameda County, 1,090 homes active on the market and 661 homes pending. You compare that to this same time last year in Alameda County, where we only had 707 homes active on the market and 604 pending homes. So again, very similar increases in inventory levels. 40% increase in inventory levels, only about a 10% increase or so in pending activity. So very similar numbers to Santa Clara County in Alameda County as well. Now, towards the end of 2025, I predicted that in some markets we might see pending sales eclipse active inventory once again here in the spring market of 2025. And that is simply not the case. We're seeing a massive surge, a massive wave of inventory levels here in Santa Clara County and across the entire Bay Area. So the question is, why? The answer lies in suppressed inventory levels. You see, ever since COVID, across the Bay Area, we've experienced incredibly tight inventory levels, record low inventory levels in a lot of areas. This problem was exacerbated in 2022 when the rates jumped. You see, a lot of people over the last couple of years have been holding on the false hope that rates were eventually going to come down again. A lot of people who were locked into, 2-3% mortgage rates were thinking about potentially selling their home and then buying another one. But the thought of selling their home that has a 2 to 3% mortgage rate and then buying another one at a 6% mortgage rate was just unbearable. It was actually, for a lot of people, not possible. But now reality has finally started to set in. People who are holding on to the idea that perhaps they would get lucky and be able to eventually buy another home, maybe at like a 4% rate, sell their current home and then buy another one. Those dreams are now out the window. And so now faced with this new reality, people are adjusting to the new norm. And this is reflective in the inventory levels that we're currently seeing here across the Bay Area. There is a reintroduction of suppressed inventory now. And I believe that this is going to continue to be the case over the next couple of years, really. It's very apparent that people are no longer going to be putting their life plans on hold, holding on to false hope that rates are going to come back down. And that's causing a massive increase in inventory levels because sellers are also buyers, right? And so sellers were holding off on selling because the thought of buying at those new increased rates was unfathomable. But now they've just decided that it's no longer worth waiting and they're just deciding to continue on with their lives now. So what does this mean for home sellers and for home buyers heading into the spring market in 2025? Let's start with home buyers. So good news, bad news. The good news is that there are more homes to choose from, right? That's awesome. And this also means that for every home on the market, there is overall going to be less competition on the home, right? More options means more diverted eyes, less attention on any one singular home. I would also argue though that this same shift in mentality for sellers is also going to affect some buyers who have been on the sidelines for some time now. I think there have been a subset of buyers who have been perhaps waiting on the sidelines for a couple of years now thinking, well, honey, maybe the rates are going to get better. And I think almost everyone now understands that's not going to happen. And so they are now putting their life plans, or they are now taking their life plans off of pause and they're getting back into the game. So I think that's where you're seeing that slight increase in demand really across the entire Bay Area, where we're seeing more buyers are coming off the sidelines and eating up some of that additional inventory. But I want to caution any buyer who's watching this video right now and thinking, oh my gosh, that means it's a buyer's market. Absolutely not. There are many cases right now where we're seeing multiple offers, homes going several $100,000 over list price. And so you need to be cognizant and aware of the market dynamics in the area that you are buying in, because certain areas are still incredibly hot. And it's almost like on a home by home basis. I could share earlier this week, we got another one of our buyers into contract, and this home, it was very obvious it was going to be a white hot sale. They underpriced the property specifically to garner a lot of attention, and within 24 hours, this home had 3 offers. It hadn't even been on the market for 24 hours yet, hadn't even had a full open house yet. Halfway through the open house, it had 3 offers on the property. Now, luckily, me and my team, we were great negotiators, and we were actually able to secure the home for my client that evening and take it off the market before the second open house even happened. But this is the reality of the market that we're in. There are some homes that are going to sit multiple months and get 0 offers, and then some buyers going to come in and be able to negotiate a great deal for themselves. And then there's other homes with the best schools in the best neighborhood, with the great kitchen and the great bathrooms. Those are the homes that are still going to get a lot of attention and still garner multiple offers in a very short period of time. Don't kid yourself. We're still in the Bay Area. This isn't like everything is on sale and you're going to be able to get things at a massive discount. That's not the case. Now, there are great opportunities out there. And so that's really the good news for buyers. If you are more opportunistic and you're thinking, I can sacrifice a lot of things and I'm not super picky, well, there's a lot of homes that are going to be sitting on the market now for multiple weeks and or months. And those are the homes that you can target and really, lean into the pain that they're experiencing of having been on the market for longer than they probably expected to be and get yourself a great deal. Now, on the seller side, there's a couple of things to really keep in mind here. No, this isn't the end of the world. It's not like your home is going to depreciate 10-20% all of a sudden, but it's very obvious that the inventory levels are readjusting in real time. And so the longer you wait, the more competition you're going to be faced with. Now, competition ebbs and flows throughout the year. I would say that traditionally speaking, we see inventory levels spike in the summertime. And so if you are a seller, I would encourage you to target either a late spring or fall sale. Avoid the summer because this summer could get kind of weird. There might be, and it's too early to tell, but just based on my knowledge, based on the things that I've seen in years past, we traditionally see inventory levels spike during the summertime. And so this summer, they could spike even more just based on the trajectory that we're headed in. If inventory levels are almost double right now what they were in February of last year at this time, double the inventory of what it was in June, July of this year, or this last year rather, it could be that you're faced with a lot of competition as a seller. Now, also keep in mind that for sellers, pricing strategy is very important now. And not only pricing strategy, but your marketing strategy, the approach, the tactics that you use to stand out from the crowd are more important now than they have been in quite some time. February of last year, we still had incredibly tight inventory levels. And so almost everything sold. This year, that won't be the case. There will be a lot of homes that sit on the market for 2, 3, 4 months now. That is going to be the new norm. There's going to be a subsect of homes that sell within the first week or two, and then there's going to be homes that take several months to sell. This is a normal market, guys. I can't stress this enough, but in other parts of the country, a home being on the market for 2 or 3 months, that's normal, right? In fact, if you sell the home in less than a month, you are considered one of the greatest agents ever, right? So we just have to recalibrate and readjust our expectations and don't price the property incorrectly, because pricing strategy, like I said, matters now more than ever. And in a market where there's a lot more to choose from, pricing the home where you need it to be or where you want it to be versus, using that underpricing strategy to drive the price up, it might be warranted to price the property differently than you would have, say, in the spring market of years past, because we are adjusting to this new inventory situation that we are currently faced with. Now, this is not a one-size-fits-all approach or one-size-fits-all solution. And so if you're a seller in today's market and you're thinking, hey, I need to make sure that I'm pricing my property appropriately, you can reach out to me. Just text the word consult to the number down below. That's consult to the number down below. I'll set up a 20-minute Zoom call with you and go over your property and give you my ideas on how to properly price your property in today's market and in your specific neighborhood. Because like I said, every neighborhood is different and every property warrants a slightly different pricing approach. At the end of the day, I have a ton of boots on the ground. I have colleagues out in the marketplace every single day, agents on my team out in the marketplace every single day, showing properties, listing houses, holding open houses, writing offers for buyers. And the one thing that I can say is that this market now more than ever is very area specific. And so if you are a buyer or a seller, it's important to understand not just what the dynamics are overall, right? But what you might be hearing at the office isn't necessarily going to be true in the area that you're looking in or that you're selling in, because everyone lives in different parts of the Bay. And so it's really important to hone in and get super educated on the areas and the neighborhoods that you're focused in, either as a buyer or a seller, to understand the reality of the situation that you're going to be faced with, because someone in a different part of the Bay can be faced with a completely different situation. Now more than ever, that is especially true. So make sure to stay tuned to this channel and get updated every single time we post a new market update just like this one. This is Danny Gold, everyone. I'm selling Silicon Valley, and I will catch all of you in the next video.